Only two candidates are running to run this place. Only one of them can win. Richard Donovan versus George Ryan. They're both going to speak to QMTV and tell us why they believe they've got what it takes to be Vice President Association 2011-12. We've come to Whitechapel to meet them in their own home on their own turf. It's survive or die as we meet the candidates. Welcome, George. Hi. Okay, now, how are you feeling at this early stage in the campaign this season?
I'm actually very excited. Started off a bit nervous because it's something very new that I've never really done before. But sort of getting into it, the flow starts building up, and yeah, it's in full force now. Going into the weekend, hopefully have a bit more rest this weekend, and then all out for the next week of campaigning. But no, I'm really enjoying it. Looking forward to it.
Okay, now talk through the key points of your manifesto.
One of the main things about my manifesto is the Griffin. I really do think that it is the heart of our community down at Barts, and it's one that doesn't function as well as it used to. I think with the renovation next year, we will have the basics that we need to get our students back in. In between lectures, we want the Griffin to be a place that you can come into, you chill out, put some DVDs on, have some music playing, a place you get food and drink at cheap prices, and get that hub of student activity back into our union and give it that vibrant atmosphere that will really attract the full range of our students. Because I feel that our union successfully attracts the clubs that we have, but there is a huge anonymous group of students that have just got into the habit of not coming to the union. So that's one thing, and I think that comes down to our societies, because I do believe that they are so far spread, so diverse that they can really reach out and be our connection with the people that don't necessarily spend time in the union. Another main point of my manifesto is academia. I really do think that our students need to have a voice about our studies. I know that the school and the student union are two very different entities, but 2 years ago Chief set up the SSLC, and it's something that does function. It's just found its feet this year, but I feel it's been neglected, and we do have feedback to the school, but I don't feel that we've had the presence of a president sitting on the SSLC to really get things going and really start making changes from the school's point of view. And I think all it will take is brief communications with staff who work for the school, because they want the best for us as well. It's not just students who want the best.
Okay.
And I think that feedback loop needs to be closed, and it's the job of the president to do that.
Now, you're a medic yourself, but how do you feel you can represent medics and dentists equally?
I feel the best way of representation of medics and dentists is not necessarily what I can personally do for each individual dentist, but I think what can be done for DenSoc. I've spoken to a number of people that are members of DenSoc and a number of dental students, and it's become clear that the dental president is not a sabbatical position, but it's a position that perhaps should be. I think the president and their vice presidents and the whole of DenSoc need more support from us at Barts and people at Queen Mary's University as well, from my own campus, and just helping them out with things like that. I do believe we can take a load off their shoulders and give them the freedom for them to represent the dental students and voice their opinions.
Now, there is a kind of difficulty, or I suppose a strain that exists between both campuses and has over the years. How do you intend to work with your fellow SABs in Milan? Would it be a sort of cooperation whilst retaining the identity of the BLSA, or do you intend to be less integrationist and more supportive of BLSA as a identity of its own?
I don't think within the SABs the attitude of we are Barts and we're retaining our autonomy and our identity is necessary, because I think the SABs are for people who are very well involved in how things run down here at Milan and at Whitechapel, and they know that Whitechapel is traditions and histories that are very close to its heart. So I don't think going into a relationship with Sabbatical officers saying I'm going to maintain the identity of Barts is the best way to do it, because I do believe it's something that will be retained, and it's not at risk at the moment. I think the best way for any person coming in to be able to work with SABs, just be be open, be honest, be open and honest in communications,
Sure.
and just make sure it's a balanced relationship.
One of the difficult parts of your job is kind of the way in which you conduct Merger Cup and the spirit in which it's carried out. How do you get the balance right in terms of making sure that it is a fun and sporting event and that it doesn't go beyond the point of just a sporting rivalry?
Are you suggesting that it's swayed beyond?
Well, certainly last year there were reported casualties and there were incidents of violence on the day of Merger Cup, for example, and so that clearly was, went a bit beyond sporting banter. Without going into the specifics of them. How does one, it's obviously for all sides to get this right, how will you try in Whitechapel to encourage that?
Well, I think it's about promoting the healthy rivalry we do have, and yes, it is a rivalry, but at the end of the day, I think we're all adults. We all know how far things need to go, and the individual cases would be few and far between, and I'd assume be fueled by alcohol and a bit people just getting into it a bit too much.
Sure.
The best way of dealing with that is just to make sure the network of communication from president, from club society officer down through our club society to our captains to our chairman of our clubs is very open. People are made aware that it is a competition. Yes, we want to win, but at the end of the day, when we end up with Drapers to hear the results, it is fun, and it's a tradition that we want to keep up with a healthy representation.
Clearly, higher education is a dominant to the landscape of next year as it has this year, and asking us to all SABs in all categories, or potential SABs. What is your stance going to be? Will you continue the SU position of free education within the bands that you can at Whitechapel?
Bots actually don't have an opinion at the moment. It's apolitical. I really feel that we've wasted the voice that we do have as medical students by sort of standing by and letting it go past us, claiming to be apolitical. I think on student matters that affect students, and we are students, we should have a voice, we should use that voice, and it is an effective one when it's used. I do believe that if I were to go into the role of president next year, I would like to give Barts that voice. I'd like to bring our SPC together, discuss it, and come out with an opinion that is representative of our students and what would be best for our students.
What welfare campaigns would you like to get behind and see happen? Final question then. Facilities are going to be changing dramatically over the course of the next year in Whitechapel, as you know. So what do you want to do to make sure that the students get the best out of them as they evolve?
I think with the Griffin being renovated, next year is the opportunity to capture a new group of students, the anonymous group of students. Yes, we can move our clubs back into the new union we have and keep those traditions that are good and healthy going, but at the same time, if you want to set new standards and start new traditions, it has to happen next year, because if it doesn't happen, we fall into the same risk we have at the moment with Griffin, open one night a week, the same basketball coming, then we're going to miss out on the opportunity to really open our union up, and as I said before, make it a hub of students, give it a vibrant atmosphere. I feel the face of students at Barts has changed in the last 30 to 40 years, but I don't feel that the Griffin has accommodated for this, and because of that, we've lost out on a whole range of students who are just not part of the student union. So I think the renovation really could be time to change that and get those students into our union.
Good, Ryan, thank you very much indeed. Richard, welcome along.
Thank you.
How are you feeling at this stage in the campaigning season?
Not too bad. It's still quite early on. Work has just started. Posters begin to go up, flyers going on.
Okay, now talk me through your manifesto. What are the key points?
Well, I feel the main thing we need to do, first of all, is re-establish the basics. We need a union that's open 5 nights a week, where the students can access it and they can get the things they want. They can. There are TVs showing programs at Sky Sports. There's a kitchen where they can get hot food until, say, 9 PM in the evening. I also want to bring back monthly GCMs, which haven't really occurred this year.
GCMs?
General committee meeting.
Okay.
I feel that it will restore the sense of community here and the pride if all the students know more about what's going on.
You're a medic. How do you plan to keep both medics and dentists happy?
Well, I've worked closely this year with the Dental Society. I know I'm very friendly with the dentists. They all know me. And next year I intend to work even closer with them, attend their meetings as well as them attending ours, set up smaller working groups, speaking with the Dean of the Dental Institute and seeing how we can improve and move forward for them.
Now, I'm going to jump into the deep end now. What is your view on the relationship between Mile End and Whitechapel campuses? Are they joined up well?
I believe that there is a barrier there, and I think the barrier, there should always be some sort of barrier. You know, we have our own sports teams, we have rivalries and so on. Without that, we wouldn't have the Merger Cup. But I think we could be doing a lot more to integrate, to help each other move forward, to make ourselves bigger, better as a university as a whole.
If you won, would you kind of seek to carry on that sense of cooperation with Mile End and be an integrator, or focus more on retaining BLSA with its own distinct identity?
I feel that I can accomplish both. It's possible to integrate whilst also maintaining and building on what we have here already. We do have our own campus that does kind of segregate us slightly, but at the same time, people come here from Drapers, people from Drapers come here,
Sure.
People from the Griffin go to Drapers and so on, and I think that's something we can build on more next year. Particularly if once we've been refurbished, it'll be a lot nicer here, people will be more inclined to come here and chill out and relax.
Now, a tough thing to get right in your role is the spirit in which Merger Cup is conducted. How do you see yourself managing the rivalry and preventing it from getting beyond just sporting banter?
I think it's quite difficult sometimes. I mean, people can get carried away quite easily. It's something that will need to be well controlled, involving working closely with mainly the clubs and SOCs officer down here, as well as the SABs, particularly BPSA in Mile End, and see what we can do about that. Obviously, you have to allow some rivalry, that's in the spirit of the game.
Sure.
But at the same time, a good game's a fair game.
Okay, now I'm asking all candidates about this, and for BLSA candidates this is almost more significant because when we're talking about higher education finances, which I'm coming on to, the cost for medical and dental students is significantly more because the courses are longer.
Sure.
So what is your stance going to be, and what are you going to take, and how are you going to seek to represent students on this issue?
Well, obviously the raising of the tuition fee cap is going to hit medical and dental students hard because it's almost certainly going to reach the limit for these degrees, and we have a lot of graduates as well, so potentially they'll be paying £45,000 for a second degree because they don't get loans for the fees. I aim to work closely with the BMA and the ULU Med group, who I would have strong links with after meeting them several times this year, and see if we can work together to kind of not necessarily reduce the fees, because I don't think we can do that, but make sure there are grants and bursaries to help students out if necessary. Okay,
now having talked about supporting students from an education point of view, let's turn to welfare, which obviously you'll work closely with the Vice President Education and Welfare in Mile End on. In terms of supporting students in this way, what do you plan to offer them?
One of the biggest changes I plan to implement this year is providing more welfare for people off campus. What I mean by that is people who are at their hospital firms in Essex. A recent survey was carried out by another candidate running for a different position, and that showed that this is a serious issue. There is a severe lack of welfare in these places, and I think that by working with the medical school to get staff trained up at these hospitals, we can accomplish this.
There's going to be a lot of changes coming to facilities at Whitechapel in the coming year. Have you any views on what you'd like to see or lobby for in terms of getting the best out of those changes for students here?
Well, I know that Laura has already conducted a survey online to ask students about this, and the results of that being correlated at the moment. Personally, as President-elect, if I get that far, I would like to finalise these plans with Laura, get them opened out as a whole, as a blueprint, and dispersed amongst this whole student body. One of the main things I wish to do is reinstall Sky Sports, because I know that's something not currently offered at Drapers, so that would also attract more people from Mile End to come down. And we'll also have a kitchen next year, so we can provide hot food late into the evenings, and it'll be a nice social area which isn't always focused around alcohol.
Richard Donovan, thank you very much indeed.
But you are.